Hi there and welcome back. In this video we're going to be running a couple of things in the terminal just to show you how it goes. What we looked at in the last video is that if you have Python in your path, you should be able to launch the terminal app on Mac, terminal on Linux, or cmd.exe on Windows in order to open up Python. So let's do just that. I'm going to type Python and then press enter, and as you can see I get Python 2.7 because that's the default on Mac. Here we've got our Python interactive interpreter. Python comes with this program, and essentially when you run it, it just opens up an interpreter in Python that you can type Python commands into and it will execute them immediately. So you can type something like print hello world and it'll print it out to you. You can define functions. And then as soon as you type the colon, this realizes that you're typing a more complex command and it gives you a new line where you can type. Make sure to press tab at this point in order to add the spacing that the function needs. You know that functions need to be indented more at the beginning inside the block, and then you can type enter twice in order to exit the function. Then you can run the function and it will return the result. This is pretty powerful, having an interactive interpreter like this. As you are typing Python code to include in your programs, very frequently I'll have something like this open on the side where I will copy and paste from my code just to see that everything's working as intended. Instead of writing your code and then running it and waiting for it to work, you can make sure it works by putting it here first and checking it first. This is something I do very frequently. Once you want to exit from this interactive interpreter, instead of closing the window, which is something you can do, of course, you can press Control D. So that's going to be Control and D. I'm going to press those two keys simultaneously, and then notice how Control and D gets printed out here, and this exits fully. Now, Python runs the default Python version of Mac OS X, which is Python 2.7. If you don't have Mac OS X, running Python probably runs the Python version you've installed at the start of the course, maybe Python 3.6 or 3.7. If you are on Mac or on Linux and you've got multiple versions of Python installed, you can always type Python 3.7, for example. I believe this will work on Windows as well, but Windows can be a bit picky with the things that do work and don't work on a terminal. As you can see, typing Python 3.7 brings me to Python 3.7.0 Beta 1. This is the early adopter version of Python that I'm running. And here you've got exactly the same thing as before, another interactive interpreter, but now it's running Python 3.7. What does that mean? Well, it means you've got access to things like f-strings and things like that. Not that you'd want to do this, but just to show you that in Python 3.7 now you have access to all the new Python features, as you would expect. So if you're typing Python 3.7 code in your editor, in your program, you'll want to launch a Python 3.7 interactive interpreter in order to test out your code. If you want to write your programs in Python 3, but you launch a Python 2.7 interpreter, you may find that things don't quite work as you would expect. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, I'm going to exit this interpreter by pressing Control D. And now I'm going to show you a command that is only available in Mac OS X and Linux, but it can be used to look at what program you're running when you type Python 3.7. See, when you type Python 3.7 in your terminal, what's actually happening is that you're looking for the Python 3.7 program across all your folders in your path. Okay? So I'm going to print out the path, and you can see that the first folder here is this library frameworks python.framework versions 3.7 bin. Then a colon separates this folder from the next. When I type Python 3.7, and when I type which before it, it tells me what program I'm running when I type Python 3.7, and that is this program. This program is inside library, the library folder, frameworks folder, python.framework versions 3.7 bin, which as you can see matches exactly the first folder in the path. And then inside bin you've got Python 3.7. So this tells us that the Python 3.7 program exists within our path, and it also tells us where exactly in our computer it is. If you type which of something that isn't in your path, like ASDF, it just won't say anything. Okay, so this is a good way to check whether you've got things in your path or not. Similarly, if you type ASDF, it'll tell you command not found. So, if it's not in your path, you'll get a command not found or a similar error in Windows and in Linux. Now that we know a little bit about how to actually do this in the terminal, we can go and look at how we can create and manage our projects using the terminal with a couple of tools that we're going to be introducing in this section. I'll see you on the next video.